Welcome to the I just forgot our name of our show. Welcome
It's our names. It's our names.
welcome to the David and Kenneth show. You guys can all figure out who we are. We are the show where we do reviews and talk about the Bible. Tonight we're going to jump into our first segment right now. It's wonderful. We've been talking about this for the last few weeks. Talking about this movie coming up. So we went and saw it last Friday night. And Dave, you and I have kind of given our predictions as to how we thought this would go. So tonight we're going to share what we really think about the movie. We'll jump right in. I'll start. Mandalorian and Grogu.
You spelled the thumbnail with Groku as well.
Did I really?
Oh yeah, there's a misspelling on it.
That is awesome. I did that on purpose. So, Dave, you passed the test. Let's see who else figures it out. Oh boy, that's good. Now you know what? That's gonna bug me the entire show now. Now that you
we
said
could
that.
change the thumbnail. See,
Yeah,
when you start doing the
thumbnails,
you start doing the thumbnails, so now the spelling mistakes are yours and not mine.
I know. I thought about. You know what I was worried about is misspelling Mandalorian. And I was like, it looks right. So I didn't even look at Grogu. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh brother. Well, this movie came out last week and we went and saw it. And so Dave, there's a few we've been talking about this a little bit, what we think would happen. As of today, it looks like worldwide it's brought in about 165 million. Is that the same figure, about the same figures you've seen?
Yeah, that's so you have to take into account the theaters get 50% of that.
Right.
So if you own the movie theater, say you're the Regal owner, you get half of the take. So that means they've only made, what is that, half a $60-80 million on this film, the Disney company.
Yeah,
that's bad.
You were saying like last week they got to make about 500 million to break even, and that's what I was reading. I was reading today they were guesstimating between 450 and 600 million just to break even. So, and right now they're nowhere near that, unfortunately.
Well, yeah. So this is right now the lowest or the worst performing Star Wars film ever released.
Yeah.
And the problem we're going to run into is this weekend they have two big films dropping, and then not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, the He-Man movie is going to drop. And so these films are going to take the air out of it. You might see a 50% drop off on attendance this coming weekend. And this thing's going to hit the ground it's going to sink like a ton of bricks, which is really unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
Now we'll get to talking about what we think they should do with Star Wars, but why don't we give our reviews, Ken?
Yeah. So now, Dave, you and I are coming at this from two different directions. I've seen like a lot of the backstory shows, like Clone Wars, and man, I'm having a bad memory time tonight. I'll figure it out. Star Wars Rebels and Ahsoka and all of them. I've seen most of them. The only ones I haven't seen are Acolyte and Skeleton Crew.
I would say the way we could describe us is you're more of a super fan. You know more of the stuff in the lore, and I'm the normie. Today, I'm the guy who's only watched the films. That's what I do. So that's our perspectives on this. I didn't know that if you look at the poster right here, the alien at his elbow, I didn't realize that he was in, I think, Rebels so
that's Zeb.
No idea about that at all until I found out later. We didn't even talk about that, you and I. So that's going to be lost on some people too. So
yeah, there's a few people like that in here. Zeb from Rebels, the animated series. The Hutt twins we also see in the Book of Boba Fett. If for those that have seen that. Rada the Hutt, who was Jabba's son, he was in the animated series Clone Wars. He was rescued by Anakin and his crew. Um, so he made his debut. Of course, at that point, he was basically an infant back then. So and he was kidnapped by Count Dooku, and so then Anakin and Ahsoka actually rescued him. So, um, and there might have been a few other people in there, I'm not sure, but there's the one thing I do like about, I think even Disney has done a good job with intermixing these different series so they all go together well, and we see the same thing in this one. So if you're the type of fan I am and you've seen all the backstories, you could have seen this movie and be like, "Oh yeah, that's so and so, and that's so and so. That's great how they mix that in." Um, so Dave, my take on this movie, there was a lot of action.
Yeah.
Um, in my opinion, almost too much action for one movie. Um, I think I think my prediction was spot on, when we talked about this being basically a two-part TV show, it but with a really large budget.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I didn't like it. I liked it. I honestly think they could have taken this movie and turned it into I think they do 8 episode seasons. They could have turned it into an 8 episode season. And I think it would have done well if they had done it on TV. I think it's a step in the right direction, but it definitely doesn't have the punch it needed to do what it needs to do. Um, it's the first. Now I'll say this: it's the first Star Wars movie since Rogue One that Disney has put out that I think that was any good. Um,
Huh. Okay.
because after that you had Solo, and then you had the the newer trilogy with Rey. I
Those
don't
were
think there's any
terrible.
yeah, I don't think there's anything else that unless I'm missing something.
You have the TV shows, like Andor,
Right, I'm talking strictly
Ahsoka.
movies, strictly movies. The TV shows, I liked most of the TV shows. Like I said, the only 2 I didn't watch, I didn't wanna watch, but the other ones were okay. Boba Fett was a little bit of a disappointment, but, um, so, looking at how this story ran, again, I think it was light on the storytelling, heavy on the action.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I would bring if I had middle school children, I would bring them, or teenagers, little kids. I think it'd be scary for them. That's my take. Although my grandson was there, but I had no say in that. But and he did well. But I think for
Yes, he
some
did.
little kids, it would have been a problem.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of it in a nutshell. Would I
Well,
watch it
save your
again? Yeah,
score. Well, yeah, why don't
yeah,
so don't tell us yet, but out
yeah,
of 10, think in your head what it is out of 10. Keep that to yourself, and we'll
yeah.
compare our scores at the end.
So Dave,
So, yeah,
what was your take on it?
I'm largely gonna echo what you said. So somebody who has no idea about the extended lore. And you know what?
Mhm.
To be honest, I'm a little interested to read the extended universe. So I looked at it as somebody who has no idea who's just coming to see a movie, who's seen episodes 1 through 6, and I have seen 7 and 8. I didn't see 9,
Mhm.
the Ray saga, and so I'm the normie who just is catching the movie, because it's a Star Wars movie. Um,
Yeah.
so I'll say this, just to be just honest, it was fun like how a roller coaster is fun. Okay, so what I mean is the action was good, it kept moving. It
Mhm.
was fun in that respect. So I enjoyed that it was moving.
Mhm.
Um, I thought of it as a parent, it's definitely safe for your kids. And so if you're looking for a film to show your children, and believe me, there is no story here. We'll get to that in a second. So if you're worried about bad values, there's no bad values, like none.
No. No.
Again, these are good things, by the way. So it's safe for your middle school. Maybe you're a little younger. Definitely high school. I know your youngest son really enjoyed the film, and
Mhm.
I think it's definitely geared for that audience. But I think, well, we'll get to what they did. I don't think they have that audience at all. So yes, it was a roller coaster. I don't think the movie actually accomplished anything. I don't think it answered any questions. I don't think it fixed anything. I just think it was 3, 4 episodes of a TV show strapped together and put on to into a movie.
Yeah.
If The Mandalorian had died in the first 10 minutes, it would have no impact on the greater Star Wars universe, like none.
Yeah.
His failure to accomplish his tasks would just like the rebels would, well, it's not the rebel. The New Republic would be like, oh, we got to hire somebody else.
Yeah,
And
there was no
there's
high stakes. You know, it was like,
yes,
"Oh, the Republic is gonna fall if he fails." It wasn't
no.
like that at all.
And I'm trying to be spoiler free because we're still within the window of there to be, but there
Yeah.
is no high stakes. To be honest, I don't think we had wondered if this would be the case. This should not have been a movie. This should have been a mini series on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Um, I said this before, and I think I'm just reinforced by it. The Mandalorian is a fun character,
Mhm.
but I don't think he is the guy who can carry a movie.
Right.
Let me put it in other terms. When you think of Marvel movies, you think of the Avengers. Captain America had his own movie. Iron Man had his own movie. Hawkeye never had his own movie.
Right. Right.
Hawkeye is a great character,
Yeah.
but he's not a character for his own movie. Now, he did
Right.
get a Disney Plus series, which is great.
Mhm.
He can handle a Disney Plus series. He couldn't carry 90 minutes to 2 hours worth of film. I think The Mandalorian would be great as a side character in a movie because he's contemporary with Luke, correct? So no, he's after Luke, I guess.
Well, I mean, yeah, this takes place, like, a couple years
After.
after Return of the Jedi.
And
So
does it happen before the Rey saga?
oh, yeah, way before, because the Rey
Okay, so
saga is, like, 30 years after Return of the Jedi. This is just a couple years after.
so you
So
could have him and Luke, you could have Luke and Han headlining a story and have him show up, and I think
oh,
that'd
yeah.
be a great cast, good fun. But he can't do it. And I think the one thing that was the most this I think was just the thing that nailed it as just an okay film for me was, and you and I talked about this. This could have been a Marvel movie. You said a Transformers movie. It
Mhm.
could have been a Star Trek movie. It could have been any other major franchise, and you could have had the same film.
Yeah.
It was a roller coaster with a Star Wars veneer.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. You could replace the X-wings that were in it with Star Trek shuttles, or with Marvel, shield helicarriers, or so on and so on and so on. It was nothing happened, nothing of consequence was to happen, and it ended.
Yeah.
So if you're a person who's looking for story, you won't find it. If you're looking for substance, you're not going to get it. If you're looking for, what is it, 2 hours of fun and just like entertainment, sure. But
Yeah.
I would, to be honest with you, if you already have a Disney Plus subscription, wait 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to be real, if you want to take your kids out and do something great with your your middle school, maybe you're a little younger, but not by much kids. Maybe you're a high school student. He'll thank you. I don't think he'll have fun with you, and you'll be able
Mhm.
to bond. But I just don't know that it's just not really a Star Wars film. It's not going to get it done. So
So how would you
that's
rate
kind of my
this?
take.
How would you rate it
Wow,
between 1 and 10? 10 being the best.
it's I'm gonna go. I'll get. See, this is the thing. I'm just gonna give it a 5, maybe a 4.5. It's not terrible. That's the thing. It was a good. I had a good time,
Yeah.
but it's just not. I don't. The only reason I'm remembering anything is because we're doing this. Because let
Yeah.
me tell you, if you and I were not having this conversation, I wouldn't remember that film. I enjoyed myself in the theater, but
Yeah.
I don't think that it's very memorable. It's just that's what I think. How about you?
I think I would give it I had 6 in my mind. So we're pretty close on that. Um, I would go back and watch it again, not in the theater probably. Um, but when it comes out on Disney Plus, I'll watch it again. but it wasn't, like you said, it was a fun movie to watch, but it wasn't like a memorable movie. So,
Yeah.
um, I'll say this, that there was no preaching going on in the movie. There was no
Yeah.
like agenda, which I think is
Yeah.
great. But it was, I guess you'd call it a very safe movie. Um,
Yeah.
it wasn't like a powerful movie, something that you would lie awake at night and think about, for the next few nights. Like, wow, that was incredible. So
Yeah.
now, Dave, let's pretend that you are in charge of Star Wars. What would you do from here?
So I I I was well, you had said, "Hey, think about this." So I took your advice here and I put together my list on how to fix Star Wars. All right? This
Let's
is
hear it.
not a step-by-step manual, but you could do it. These are just suggestions. It came with 4 suggestions that could help save Star Wars. And by the way, since the new head of Lucasfilm is Dave Filoni, so Mr. Filoni, these are free. You can ignore me all you want. I want you to succeed. I
Oh,
want you to be,
he's
you
definitely
know,
watching us. He's
I
definitely
hope he
watching us.
is because, and Ken, I really mean it. I want him to do a good job because Star
Oh,
Wars
yeah.
is important. It's a
Yeah.
good series. It's got we need good stories. Good stories help form souls. That's what they do. And so I want Dave to succeed as the guy who's taken over the reins of Lucasfilm. But these are some things I was thinking about that he needs to do. Number one, if you know the history of Disney, when Bob Iger, the former CEO of the Disney company, purchased Star Wars, he made a big song and dance and he promised everything to George Lucas.
Mm,
And he did exactly none of it.
mm.
And George is apparently pretty bitter about the thing.
Hmm.
What you need to do, Mr. Filoni, is there's a new Disney CEO. It's Josh D'Amaro. He's a former parks guy. He's not a films guy. What you need to do is have Josh go over to George and have him make every kind of apology possible to get George Lucas back on board.
Yeah.
Don't just string him out for a few movie things. Actually have him do something.
Yeah.
He's what? He's in his 60s or 70s, so he's still there.
Yeah.
He's still around. Bring
Mhm.
him in, have Josh D'Amaro kiss the ring if you have to, and get George Lucas back on board. That will make the real true fans who I hate to say it, I wonder, Ken, how close are you to just not caring?
Yeah, like, I mean, like,
Because
when
I think
this
that's the
movie was
problem.
coming out, I had no excitement about it. Like I said, we've talked about our reviews on it now, but I had no excitement, I had no anticipation, like, "Oh, this is gonna be incredible," you know? And even though I did like it, it's like, it actually turned out better than I thought it was going to. So it's like, yeah, for me, and I think this is true for a lot of Star Wars fans, it's like we're just done with it. We don't expect them to be able to put out a good product anymore because they haven't in so long,
And
at least
that's
on the
and
big screen.
actually, that's worse than you hating it, to be honest.
Yeah,
Because love and hate, you start hating things because you love something.
yeah,
When you just don't care, it's because you don't love it.
yeah. You just lose
And
interest.
yeah, when you don't have any interest, that's it. So you need to get George in, and maybe the more apathetic former fans will may the most willing to trust will come back first. And then you'll have the waves of the rest of the fans. And by the way, these are the people with all the money. These are the
Yeah,
people who are going to go and buy the $300 lightsaber. They are going to do the experiences. That's what they'll do. These are the fans that have the money that will spend it. So have
yeah,
Josh go and kiss the ring. The second thing, they've already looked at the stats. The stuff that people watch on Disney Plus is the original series. They watch George Lucas's stuff. They don't really watch Disney Star Wars.
right, right.
What you need to do, I was thinking about this. You need to double down on George's creations.
Mhm.
More Luke, more Han, more Chewie. Chewie's got to be like Mandalorian. Secondary character. He cannot have his own film. Don't get
Yeah,
any ideas.
mm-mm.
Someone going
It
"Grrr" the whole time. That won't sell a film. That won't do it.
No,
That'll be funny.
that
Maybe
was the
one
Christmas
episode on
special.
Disney Plus.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Would
But double down on those things. Have more Anakin Skywalker. I was thinking about this. Would you watch a live action Clone Wars?
Oh, yeah.
Would you
Absolutely.
watch a trilogy of Clone War movies with Hayden Christensen?
Yeah, I would at least start out. Hopefully, it'd be good. But, yeah,
And
absolutely.
and here's the thing, Hayden Christensen is still looks pretty young. He
Yeah.
could play Anakin Skywalker in a live action Clone Wars movie series.
He
You get
was
3 of them out there,
he
right?
played in Ahsoka. He played in Ahsoka. So, he was there, so he's still young enough to be able to pull that off.
What you
So,
do is they just hired him on. Get him come back. He's young. He's in his 40s or 50s. He's good looking. He's fit. He knows the character.
mhm,
Have him in. Have him play Anakin in the Clone Wars. Take the stuff that you can from the cartoon and make it into a movie.
yeah,
And what you do is with Anakin, then you can sell toys, you can sell spaceships, you can sell everything. Boom, make tons of money. Next
yeah,
thing, bring back the extended universe. Take the very best stories and use them. Seriously, don't worry about, people throwing a fit. You are in charge now, Mr. Filoni. Just say, hey, look, I'm going to take this stuff and we're going to make movies out of it.
yeah,
What's the other thing? The Disney company's largest moneymaker is not their films, but their parks. Bring back Star Wars weekends.
mm,
Bring back Star Wars weekends. And in fact, what you should do is when a Star Wars film or TV show is coming out, you should have a Star Wars weekend the weekend before it premieres.
yeah,
And what you do is in the park, and like I said, the parks make all the money for this company. It's a theme park company that makes movies, not a movie company that has theme parks.
yeah,
Have Star Wars weekends, make Galaxy's Edge go big, make tons of money. You know what? They should have had Mandalorian walking around the parks for the last 2 weekends prior to the movie coming out.
yeah,
You know what?
yep,
And just people would go to Disney, they're going to be like, whoa, there's the Mandalorian. And they're like, yes, now remember on March so and so is the movie. Make sure you see it. And what you do is you use your properties that you already have, your assets that you have, to push people to other assets. So bring back the Star Wars weekends. Do
mhm,
lots of meet and greets. Have Luke walking around Galaxy's Edge. Put Star Wars stuff on the Magic Kingdom Castle. Do it on the spaceship Earth at the big globe at Epcot.
mhm,
Do all that. Use what you have to get it done. Believe me, when people are in this like bubble of Disney World and they're seeing tons of Star Wars stuff, you're going to notice your sales go up and your views go up that next week. It's
yeah,
just I that's how management, that's how marketing works. The
yep,
next thing, and I want to see what you think of this, Ken, start licensing out your products to small creators to make content in your universe. So what this means is you're not giving away Luke forever. You're just saying, hey, John, you can make a story using Luke in it. What that does is, number one, you don't own any risk. You just make money. You make
yeah,
money licensing and you make money from the product they created.
yeah,
And that way you don't get any of the risk, but you get all the reward. And what
mhm,
you do is what everyone does when they license a product. You put some rules in line. Like, hey,
yeah,
they can do this, they can't do that.
mhm,
You already do this, Disney, with the Oriental Land Company in Japan, where they run a Disneyland in Tokyo, and you just collect money from them for using your licenses.
mm,
So try that. You know what? And what happens is these small time creators, they create something great. You own the product because of the licensing agreement.
yeah,
And
yeah,
boom, you got some stuff, you got some good content. So, for
mhm,
example, these shorts on YouTube where the stormtroopers are just hilarious, hire that guy or
yeah,
license out that to that guy and make a comedy about the stormtroopers.
mhm,
Um, I think that'd be great. And lastly, and I think Ken, you said this as well, um, they need to stop playing it safe. Uh, I hate to say it, but Mandalorian felt like a movie by committee, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, it wasn't. I mean, look at episode one. Jar Jar Binks is a hilarious disaster. George Lucas rolled the dice, and they didn't. It came up pretty terribly, but at least he did it. And now
Yeah.
people look back on it, and they're like fan theories about him being actually a real Sith, and all
Mhm.
this fun stuff. Like 20, 30 years later,
Yeah.
take risks. You know what? I looked into this. Like I said, I'm a Disney fanboy. I love Disney. Um, back back in the 90s and the 80s, the CEO, his name was Michael Eisner. He had a strategy called the singles and doubles strategy, which is making movies that aren't always home runs, but will get you to first or second base. They'll make money. They don't make all the money in the world, but they'll make good money. So
Right.
they're not heavy investments, but they are good investments that make better return than they put in.
Mhm.
So make movies that are, I think The Mandalorian is the right track of that, something in which it's a good film, but it's not world changing.
Right. Right.
And by the way, part of the singles and double strategy is sometimes you make a good film and it ends up being world changing. Like that's what happened with the Lion King. He's like, this will be fine. We'll do something. We don't put a lot of money in this. Ended up being so hot that it went bonkers, and they made oodles of money on the Lion King, and so they just
Yeah.
ended up backing into a world-changing event. Same thing with Star Wars. Just make good films. They don't have to be the most expensive, extravagant, but they're good. And if it
Mhm.
happens to be that they're fantastic, well, thank the Lord and do it again.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, you're not here to you need to do is you need to earn it back. You need to get the respect, you need to get clout, and you need to make some money.
Yeah.
And the way to do that is you got to take a risk. And you, like I said, you can mitigate the risk. You're not trying to make a trillion-billion-dollar film, but maybe you're trying to make $500 million and you're going to spend $50 million to get there.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I see. These you don't have to do any of these steps. You could do one or two of these steps, and I think this will help you out.
Yeah.
Um, but that's how I see it. Ken, what do you think? How would you fix it?
So, I
I
was
really
thinking
thought
about
about
this.
that.
Yeah, there is such a hatred for the new trilogy. I think you have to address that. And so I've joked about this before. I might have even joked on the air about it, but this is literally what I would do. I'm putting out a new movie starring Mark Hamill. It takes place about 30 years after Return of the Jedi, and the first scene is he's having a nightmare and there's flashbacks of different segments from these 3 movies. And he wakes up, he's like, "Wow, what a nightmare. I must have had some bad Jawa juice last night." And that's how start the movie starts. And literally, he's a Jedi master at the Jedi Temple. His right-hand man is Ben Solo, who's a Jedi master. You could throw someone like Sabine in there, who we see her in Star Wars Rebels. We see her in Ahsoka. In Ahsoka, she's trying to learn the ways of the Force, and this is like 30 years after that, so she could be a Jedi master at that point. You do a cameo of Han Solo. He and his wife Leia, they're both senators. They're both off-world dealing with senator stuff somewhere. And however you play that out, um, and he does a subspace call to him, the holographic subspace call. And then you don't address some of the other characters necessarily, like Chewie or Orlando. You just let that go. But you got R2D2 in there, you've got C3PO, and then the plot is something that's earth-shattering that will shake the foundation of the Republic, and Luke and his crew have to save the day, whatever that is. Okay?
Yeah.
I think that sets the tone, first of all. Honestly, I think if you did that, if you had Luke there having a nightmare and he wakes up, you would have people in the theater standing and cheering and applauding, and I would be one of them. It would be like, okay, Disney saying, okay, we've done away with that trilogy. It's erased. That would establish that. Um, Number two, I would re-release the first 3 original movies again, remastered again. Um, it's been 25, 30 years since they did that last time, and our technology has allowed us we could you don't change the movies, it's the same movie, but you upgrade the special effects, you upgrade those details. Um, you address in A New Hope, you address the saber duel between Kenobi and Vader. That is the most pitiful duel out of all of them. Even out of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, they were so much better. And I'm surprised that George Lucas did not address that when he remastered those 30 years ago. Right before he released the prequel trilogies, the prequel trilogy. That they could do that. I've seen talk about licensing. I've seen that done on social media. I'm like, all right, there's some people out there that have access to technology. Why hasn't Disney hired them? Why haven't they integrated this into the movie? Um, I think any Star Wars fan, including you and me, would go watch those re-releases of those three movies, just upgraded. You know, whatever you want to call it, 2.0, 3.0, whatever. It's the same people, same story. Nothing's changed. It's just upgraded. I think from there, you've kind of you've opened the door to okay, we have retooled this. We're on the right track. I think you're going to restore the faith of some fans. Okay, Disney's on board. Disney's on board with Star Wars now. They
Mm.
understand this is the Star Wars we want. And then you might get more people coming to movies, like you said, that are putting out movies that are not safe. They're taking chances on some of this stuff. But you do some storylines. You could do movies on you could do another movie on Luke Skywalker, or maybe not. You might go back and do a movie like you said with Hayden Christensen as Anakin, or some of these other things that center around the basic storyline of Star Wars that we love. Um, if you don't do that, Disney tried to recreate Star Wars and it failed miserably. The First Order and the Resistance. I mean, come on. You guys couldn't come up with something original.
Yeah, it was
Um,
lame.
that was lame.
Yeah.
And so they need to erase that. So that's what I would do. And I think it would go a long ways towards restoring the faith of the fans and giving the franchise new life, putting it back where it belongs. So that's all I have
Yeah,
to say
I
about
like
that.
how you're looking at the how to handle. So I don't think they're gonna delete the Ray trilogy. You know what I mean? I don't think that they're gonna go there. I think that
No,
they
I
are.
I know they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
There's legal ramifications if they tried. Who knows?
I
Um,
but I do think that they could. Well, also, I don't think that they're. I think they're too proud to do it. To be really frank, um, but they could just literally have a film that takes place afterwards and just say, "Hey, that's in a different. That happened, but that's on another timeline. That's what you do." And you do, they won't apologize for it, but they do it. By the way, I don't know if you saw the comments. Of course,
no.
Kelly says about I said about Hayden Christensen, Dave, he's good looking. That's crazy. So, just be I can think of Sunset's good looking without having any romantic feelings about it.
Yes,
I could say my
indeed.
cat is good looking without having any romantic feelings. There is non-romantic estimations of people. Um, some
Well,
some
that,
things are
that
just art.
I think that sums up our expert opinions about Star Wars right now.
And
If anybody has
yeah,
any comments about that, feel free to join in and give us your suggestions of what you think that they should do.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Or do you have any other
I
comments
think
on that?
the big thing is that we just want it to do well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
these are stories that they're special to people, and
hmm
stories. It's crazy to say, stories matter
yeah,
because truth isn't really absorbed by bullet point. It's like, hey, you learn about things through story. Um, that's what the Bible's in a story. It's not just like a list of bullet points.
right,
It's
right.
not, it's you learn about the life of Jesus and what he did in his ministry, and
hmm
then you try to emulate it to the best of your God-given ability. If God wanted to give us a bullet list, he would do it. Now, by the way, he does give us some lists. That's what the Ten Commandments are and the
Yeah,
Beatitudes and so on.
Yeah.
Because he knows we like lists, but he knows that even those lists are given in story.
Mhm.
Why is he giving the 10 commandments when he does? Well, in the case of Deuteronomy, they're going into the Holy Land, and it's like, and God is saying, "Hey, I want you to remember this before you go into battle." Um, we need to teach our kids things through story. And what is Luke? Luke's the story of a young man going on a journey to save the world.
Yeah.
And he does the right thing. And how do you get there? That's an excellent story. That's a story that people experience, that
Yeah.
I'm going out in the world and fighting for what I believe in. And it teaches young children to do that. And it helps the older people to remember that that's their responsibility.
Yep.
And so we want this to do well. Uh, I think that they'll turn it around. Ken, if I'm honest, I think it's going to take a couple of years. I think that the good thing about The Mandalorian is I believe that was the last or the second to last of Kathleen Kennedy's reign over Lucasfilms. Like, so this is a thing from her
Mm.
and her green lighting. Then it's also the last of Bob Iger's financial playing around. There's a lot of corporate politics that went into the making of this film, if you really look into it, which
Mm.
we don't have time for today. But
Yeah.
when Disney was trying to be corporately taken over last year, they shifted hundreds of millions of dollars to their TV, from their TV arm to their movie arm. And that's when you get into that
Those are
stuff.
some big arms, I tell you.
Well, they're
Big
getting weaker
arms.
by the minute.
Yeah.
But there's a
True.
lot of corporate political stuff that happened for this film. But I do think that with the old leadership having moved on, that there's a good chance for the new leadership at both Disney and their president of Lucasfilm to do something good.
Yeah.
If they want it.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's move on to our last segment, shall we?
Yeah.
Take it away.
I always got to move super fast here because I have to switch my notes page. And
I need to do a longer intro, like slow it down, like it's like
yeah, just slow
half
it down by a
speed.
few minutes. And so we've been talking about apologetics the last couple of weeks. The big thing I want to talk about now is what testifies to who God is. And so there are two things that testify to God's existence. There is the world, and then there is scripture. Now, Ken, I don't know if you know this. Do you know how many atheist societies they've discovered in the ancient past?
Ancient past?
Yeah,
I have no idea actually.
0.
0. Hmm.
There are
Okay.
no ancient atheist civilizations. Everyone, yeah, atheism is a current and modern construct. Now, that doesn't mean, actually, no, funny thing about history, Christians were considered the atheists in Roman times because they denied the Roman gods. And so we
Right.
were actually called atheists by the Romans, even though we had a god. We have the god.
Mhm.
And so there are no ancient atheist civilizations. There are only atheistic civilizations now by the end of a gun in the case of the Soviet Union or in the case of many communist countries today.
Mhm.
I'd even say places with a separation of church and state are also forced and not natural entities. Even in our country, the secularism that we have right now is an invention of the last 60 years. It's not actually the majority of American history. And that's
Right.
not, we're not really getting into history today, but even though we never had a church formalized by our country, like, the Baptist church or the Catholic church, we always were a Christian nation until pretty much the 1980s, 1990s, where they try to enforce secularism on the culture.
Mm.
And so you have always naturally religious civilizations. And why is that way? It's because if you go outside, if you're in nature, you can't help but think that there's something more beyond what you see. Uh, why is there anything? That you can't help
Mm.
but notice that there's something more to the world around you. And then you can't help but notice, and this is the thing, people are naturally pattern recognizing. That's funny. I don't know if you caught this, Ken, but they are trying to poo-poo people from recognizing patterns. Like certain actions that certain things do all the time. They say, well, that's a statistic of wealth or a statistic of this that's not actually based in anything. It's just a coincidence.
Right.
No, patterns are not coincidences. Some things that happen consistently, there's a purpose behind it.
Mhm.
Uh, that it just doesn't happen out of the blue. Why is there the same kind of DNA structures in every creature on Earth? Oh, it's not a pattern, it's a coincidence. It's a whole bunch of coincidences.
Yeah,
Or
a
it's
lot.
yeah, it's like, well, it's a coincidence of lightning hitting slime, and that slime created everything else. It's like, well, why? Why is there why is it this way? Why isn't it many ways? Why? There's something going on. And so as you look at nature, you start to see it. Why is the sun set in the same way every time? Why do I have this feeling of smallness or this feeling of grandeur? Or why do I feel like I'm part of something? Or and why at the same time do I feel like I'm different from something, from everything else? It's
Mm.
because God has made in the universe himself known. The Bible says so, that the heavens testify the glory of God. If It's a pity that there's so much light pollution, but if you ever get a chance to go see the Milky Way, and Ken, you where you and I are grew up, you could see the Milky Way. If you get out in the middle of nowhere.
Mhm.
Um, it's a little bit harder down here in Florida.
Yeah.
You got to go out in the middle of the state and you can see it. But you talk to the old timers in Sarasota, they'll tell you that they used to go to the beach and see the Milky Way at the beach, which to
That's
me
crazy.
just sounds like one of the prettiest sights in the world. But
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
but you see the heavens displayed before you, and they're saying something. And so you can see it that way. And then what the Bible does is the Bible comes along and it points us to where that's coming from. And so the thing about the Bible is, Ken, does the Bible prove have like do you know if the Bible has in it a then this is how you know God is real in it at all?
Uh, I can't think of anything.
It doesn't. That's why.
Yeah.
The Bible doesn't prove that God is real. The Bible assumes that God is real.
Right.
It doesn't have a here's the formula to show that God is truly true. The Bible just knows it's true and works off of that. It doesn't
Mm.
have to prove it. It has that base assumption. And
Mhm.
so you see that there's something outside of yourself. You go to scripture, suddenly scripture starts saying, and there's a reason for that. It's because there's a God who made everything. And what it does is it reveals it to you. The Bible in Romans chapter 1 says, that God is naturally evident to everybody. That's the David Hasbro translation.
Nice.
Um, I'm messing it up, but he's just naturally there. And how is that so? Because as you might remember, Ken, it says, in the beginning was the Word. There's organization in nature because it was made by a divine organizer.
Mhm.
I always thought it was crazy or a non coincidence that Jesus was a carpenter's son. And it says, by him and through him, all that has been constructed. So our God is kind of more actually in your field of work than he is in mine. A general contractor, if you will.
Yeah.
We say carpenter, but the word in the Greek is actually tekton, which is where we get our word architect.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, and the way that Jesus was is he was a guy who probably could dig ditches. In his case, I guess, make furniture, cut block. And by I mean cut block, I don't mean like, we're talking like columns, okay?
Yeah.
When he was alive, when he was before his ministry, they were like building cities for the Romans all across the area. It's not hard to believe that maybe Jesus was working on some of the cities that they were building in the area.
Mm.
So there's a pillar that's still in pretty good shape. Maybe the Lord built that one. No,
That's
that's
pretty
a
cool.
load of hooey. I have literally had someone say, if Jesus is a carpenter, where's all the furniture? It's like
Oh,
furniture,
yeah.
like, you ever have a couch for more than 6 years? What happens to it? It gets pretty bad.
Yeah,
What happens
yeah.
to what happens to wood over time? It rots or it catches on fire or it breaks.
Mhm.
Just because Jesus worked on it doesn't mean it's gonna fall apart. It's gonna be invincible forever.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, it's crazy. But yeah, so our God, he's a builder. And it says, by him and through him, all that is built. And on top of that, and by him it's sustained. And so when you look at creation, you're seeing something behind it because the divine Logos, who is Christ, built it all. That's what he does. And by the way, for our Christian friends, if he is the constructor of your salvation and he's the maintainer of everything that he's built, and he has built your salvation on his own blood, you're not gonna lose your Christianity. It's
Right.
impossible. And so when you are looking to show who God is, first you primarily only need to go to Scripture, show what Scripture says. Say, hey, look, the Bible assumes him, and then you can reinforce it. Not that the Scripture needs it, by pointing to creation and saying, and there it is. So I think it was last week or the week before, I was sharing with Ken, oranges come pre-sliced.
Mhm.
Like they what? How is that possible?
It's just a coincidence, Dave. Come on.
It's a coincidence. Um, every animal that we tend to or keep is in a size of which that we can handle them.
Yeah.
Um, even it's astounding. You might say, well, we're breeding or this or that. It's like, yeah, but they were able to be tamed. Those wonderful cats that Ken torches our introduction.
Mm.
They're starting to bring them back to work again in facilities because they're that good at killing rats, and they also naturally drive all pests out. Like, is that a coincidence? It's not.
Yeah.
Like, God built this system that's astounding.
Yeah.
Or again, I'm sure is your dog in your room with you right now, or are they outside?
No, they'd be all over me right now probably. So they're
But
they're
then
out
you have
in the other
again
room.
these animals that are just astounding, that are so faithful, and they really have no reason to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's because they're made that way. Um, you wrong your dog, it still loves you.
Yep.
What is that suggesting? What is that suggesting? It's just creation reinforces the teaching of Scripture. And so, by the way, Christian, that's why we love creation and we take care of it. But
Mhm.
use these things as your tools. Show from the Word what it says, and then use from what you've learned to reinforce it. I was talking to one of my friends who is a engineer. He figured out the wing power of a duck, and he used it to convert duck power into horsepower.
Huh.
So I think it was like how many ducks? It was like 70 ducks is like a horse or something like that.
Huh. Well,
And yeah,
you know that
yeah, go
that's
ahead.
how they invented airplanes is they took the design of birds and figured out how to
Yep.
make the wings, you know?
Yeah, and
Before
then
that,
the
they couldn't
shape,
do it.
yeah, the
Yeah.
shape of the wing is just astounding that it creates lift. But
Mhm.
what the thing is that he was able to measure the height gain of a duck and figure out how much power a duck exerts in order to fly. Okay, it might sound silly at the jump, but there's consistency in creation by which he can then measure the output of the animal and then create units of measurement based off of its ability. That's how
Duck
they came up
power.
with horsepower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
So it's because there's a consistent amount of foot pressure against the earth. And
Mhm.
then they use that for vehicles and so on. It's just, why is there consistency in measurement?
Yeah.
Why does the speed of light work at the speed that it's at? I was just reading today that we can observe 43 trillion 40 that's actually more than 43 trillion light years or something like that of observational space. Well, why can we observe such a distance in space? Because God made it so we could observe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's humongous. Like that you can't even wrap your mind around a size that big.
Yeah.
Like
Crazy.
for me to get to Ken's house by foot would take me maybe all day if I was to
Yeah.
walk.
Yeah.
And that's huge, and that's nothing compared to the size of that. And that feels so huge. There's a reason behind the immense the immensity. Look to the word and it shows you who did it. Look to
Yeah.
creation, you'll see what he did. And so that's my little bit on apologetics for you.
Nice. Well, thank you, Dave, for that, and thank you for everyone for joining us tonight. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them. I will ignore them. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll try to respond to them if it's
I
if you actually
forget.
ask something good.
I forget so much that I notice sometimes I'm like, oh, there's comments on there. I should read them. But yeah, no, we'll look at them and we'll respond if we feel like it. And so we will see you all next week. Thank you for joining us. Dave, I'll see you next week.
Yep.
And we're out of here.